Hi. Hi, welcome back to the Evolving Leadership and Workplace Culture Summit. I am Tracy Stuckrath with Thrive Meetings and Events, and my friend Elizabeth Glau and I are hosting this two-day virtual summit to talk about evolving leadership and workplace culture habits and skill sets that we need going forward. We are actually, even though this is a pre-recorded session, we are tweeting live at #LeadCulture. So Elizabeth and I have been on Twitter for 2 days straight for 5 hours at a time, tweeting with our speakers that we have on. And this is our 9th session, second to the last one. I hope you've enjoyed the other 8, and my math is correct there. And I'm so excited to be introducing you now to my friend Julie Ostrow, who I have known since 1988, I think, 89.
Yeah, around there.
We don't want to age us, Julie. She is a humorous speaker and coach of the owner of Find the Funny Enterprises. She trains managers, directors, and meeting planners on how to effectively use humor and improv skills to improve their critical thinking, communications, and presentation skills. I'm excited to know that I know somebody that went through the Second City improv training. She's a former corporate communications personnel, and she personally brings a lot of really cool skill sets that I've learned from her over the couple of decades on how to work better. One of the other 2 final things about her is that she blogs for the Positive Psychology People, and Julie and I reconnected after college in San Diego, right after she won the first ever American Laughing Championship. And we spent the afternoon laughing a lot in San Diego. So Julie Ostrow, I am so excited to see you, and let's talk about humor and improv.
Let's do that. Hey, thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. And you're right. I will never, ever forget the day that we reconnected on Coronado Island, and high on laughter, if you want to call it that. Remember, everyone was just so incredibly engaged. Like, what are you doing? What are you laughing at? I don't know. It's just that we're laughing. I have this trophy.
Right.
Laughter is contagious. It really is.
And I think it is very contagious, and we really did do that. But I think it's actually really poignant to point out how we connected, because we're in this digital world right now. You and I are talking right now. And I had actually checked in on Facebook that I was at the Hotel Del. And you just happened to be on Facebook at that same time. I don't know what you were doing, but you're like, you're in San Diego, I'm in San Diego. And that's how we reconnected. And I think, and then we reconnected around humor, because you just won that trophy and you're like, do you want me to bring my trophy with me? And I'm like, of course I do. So I think that's really poignant to talk about right now, actually.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. It was via social media that we've gotten reconnected. And to add on to what you're saying, there has been negative outcomes of social media. Maybe I'm too much in my phone. And of course, there's cyberbullying. Yet there are also positives. And I use the same example that you and I reconnected because I was in downtown San Diego. It was the last day of the conference, of the humor conference, actually. And I was just like, oh, what's going on? Mindless scroll. So the mindless scroll that I was doing turned out to be very mindful, because we were laughing like crazy afterward. But so what I was doing was, oh, what am I going to do? And then I saw you. And so just fast forward now, because of this work from home and quarantine, everybody's working remotely. Social media is the way that we are connecting. Social media and web conferencing is, I think, now critical for leaders to communicate with their teams, for friends to reconnect, cocktail hours, project management meetings.
That's so true. And we're doing it a lot. And, you know, we're there. I see so much emotion in what we're seeing on different things, you know, John Krasinski's Some Good News, and, you know, the comedians in Saturday Night Live doing their show from their own apartments. But but everybody's using music and laughter and to bring everybody together. And I think that's, you know, when we're talking about leadership and culture in the workplace, I think those have to transition into this world as well.
They have to. They have to. And the word resilience comes to mind, because those of us who have resilience and grit and fortitude to get through a challenge are going to make it through. And those leaders who are saying, we're just going to wait, we're going to do things the way they were, and we're going to just trudge along until we can get back to exactly the way things were before. Nothing will ever be the same. Even if, let's say, a global company used to never allow their employees to work from home. And even if those directors say, everyone's going to go back and work in the office, the mentality is not going to be the same.
Right.
Would you agree?
I agree. Yeah. And I was actually just reading an article came across my page, LinkedIn or something, and I saw it, and I haven't clicked on it yet, but it's talking about like what the new workspace is going to look like, you know, and I don't know, and I haven't delved into it, so I don't know if it was talking about social distancing or how we reconnect in that workspace and mixing and matching, you know, working from home and working in the office. I remember I had a boss when I was still in corporate, and she did not believe in, you know, working from home. Because she couldn't keep an eye on me. And so that means she didn't trust me. Mm-hmm. And I think that is going to play into that going forward. It'll be a lot more important going forward.
And I'm thinking if your director doesn't trust you, that's another issue.
Right.
I know you're a hard worker.
It was it was their issue, not my issue.
Exactly. So I'm thinking those leaders out there, if you don't trust your staff to work at home, you have another issue beyond working from home. Is it that you don't trust people, meaning, you know, the directors who are watching now, or do you have to have a more effective communication plan amongst your team? Maybe you don't know what's going on with your team members because you haven't connected with them. Maybe haven't you had some managers or directors who you think, well, where are they? I haven't seen him or her in the office in a month. And, oh, are we supposed to have a staff meeting? Oh, no, she canceled it because there's nothing to do. So, and it could be, you know, the spot it, you got it, or you're mirroring. Oh, so maybe if I'm thinking my staff members aren't working and they're goofing off, maybe it's just a reflection on what the director would do. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, if you're watching this now, Julie and I are actually, and Elizabeth are on Twitter, and we are tweeting with the hashtag Lead Culture. So if you have any questions for Julie, or you have comments about what we're talking about, please tweet us with the hashtag Lead Culture, and we will respond. Julie will respond because she's on Twitter. Yeah.
And right now, it's very possible you're asking, well, how do I connect with my teams right now? And I can't physically go to their desk or their cube or their office. How do I increase a positive environment and still lead my teams in this really, some people are saying, a negative situation?
Right. Well, and so thinking about that, because there are mixed comments about, you know, we should all go back to work now, and no, we should all stay at home now. In the stuff that you're doing now, because you have been working from home, you do work from home, I should say.
Right.
You know, what are you seeing going on with leaders and workplace cultures? Are you seeing it turn positive, or are you seeing it a mixture, or what?
I've seen a mixture. Some leaders say, okay, we need to adapt, and it might not be right away because turning a ship takes a long time. But I think those leaders who I've been in touch with, who say, okay, we need to adapt to this certain situation. And everything I say, I always think that there's another way of looking at it. So I'm going to play devil's advocate with myself. So because someone else might be thinking, well, adapting means just giving up to the current situation and not fighting through. But you have to adapt, just like evolution. You have to adapt in order to survive.
Right.
So adapting would mean changing how you're communicating with your team. I also have spoken with someone who works for a global company, and her team lead said, absolutely not. We will not go to a 60%, 70% working from home model. Once this is over and we clean all of the cubes in the offices, we are going back to the way that it was.
Wow.
And yes, and the person I know had asked the follow-up question that was, but haven't you seen that we have been really productive, including even more productive than we were in the office? Mm-hmm. No, I can't just stop by somebody's office, but if everybody is remote already and they're productive, I really, to answer your question, I'll give you a straight answer is I've seen both. Okay. And I really encourage leaders to put down their walls of what they've done before. This is the way we've always done it. Doesn't work. And you have to adapt. And that is, maybe it means just tweaking one thing. That doesn't mean throwing your whole current business model out the window. It's, in this current situation, what do we have to do differently? Just like communicating with family members is different.
Right.
It's this way. It's not going to their house.
Right. Okay. So I did take improv classes in Atlanta for one, session. I learned a little bit. And so something you just said triggered me to thinking of the yes and.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about this. So that yes and, what do you call it? What is that called? The yes and.
It's a yes and philosophy.
Thank you.
Tool, guideline.
Right. So that yes and tool philosophy, but improv, but also improv is actually improvising, so we have to, what can we learn? What did you learn at Second City? And what have you been teaching that we can now as leaders use to adapt?
That is a fantastic question, Tracy. I'm really glad you asked that, because improvisation is about creating something out of nothing and making something out of the unknown. So when the 4 players are on stage, for example, and a suggestion is given, what is the unknown is what is going to happen in the next several minutes and what is going to happen in that scene, with life too. So what is important is to acknowledge what is going on. And the difference between yes and accepting, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to clarify, because when a lot of people hear the term yes and, they automatically think they have to agree with everything that is happening. That's not the case. Another way to say yes and is, oh, I see what's happening. So to take an objective look at what is happening. So being objective, okay, here's the objective perspective. There's a virus, there are stay-at-home orders, period. Now, and that's accepting, okay, accepting what's happening, and how can I work effectively in this new environment? The opposite of using yes and would be, dare I say, those people who are vigilant and people protesting about this. They are not adapting the yes and philosophy. And I don't want to get political by any means, but that's a perfect example of, this isn't working for me. I don't like the way that things are right now. I have to change it. I have to speak up, because what's happening right now, I don't want to do it. So I think that's an effective example. Yes and is seeing what's happening, acknowledging what's happening, and thinking about what steps you're going to take forward.
Okay. I think that works. And yes, and so you've got, I talk about inclusion and making sure everybody feels comfortable. So you've probably got some of those people, managers, who are leading people on both sides of that, or even ones that are down the middle. Yeah, I get this. I need to be home now. But I need, like a friend of mine actually said, I miss my peeps. I miss going to the office and seeing people. So as a leader, how can you improvise and use that? And we haven't even started laughing, Julie. So how do we?
I know this is very serious.
It is very serious. So
that's okay. People are learning a lot right now. Tracy, they're hashtagging like crazy, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, Julie and Tracy, you provide so much valuable information."
Yes. Lead culture is the hashtag.
Hashtag lead culture. LEADCULTURE.
Oh, you
Lead
did
culture.
very well.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Just like MICKEYMOUSE. Yes. Yeah.
So you're asking how leaders can connect with their team members?
Right, because you have to be inclusive of those people who really embrace this. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, we're opening up our homes when we're bringing this computer and using this system. We're bringing our home now to the office, you know, a little bit. And some people might not be really open to doing that. So is there a way to using the improvisation and laughter and humor to help ease that?
You know, when I lead programs, I emphasize how important it is to make eye contact. And right now what I'm doing, I'm looking at you so that I can see you looking at me, but you're seeing me look over here.
Right.
But what would be better for you is if I look over here in the lens.
Well, just move your little screen so I'm right below the lens.
But how can I do that?
Just move the window that I'm in. Just okay. Well,
okay. But anyway, the technology, we could do that too. We could have another segment on that. But there are ways that you can engage with your people, like using improv exercises online. We can even practice those. You also mentioned laughter. I'm trained in laughter yoga, and I use some of these laughter exercises while giving presentations. So here's the thing, laughter, even fake laughter, has so many benefits.
You made me laugh because I knew what I'm gonna do.
And then you think, okay, that's stupid. But right. I suggest, how about this for a suggestion? Before every meeting, conference call, Zoom call that you leaders out there have, do a laughter exercise. And there doesn't have to be a joke. It's just an exercise of inhaling and exhaling with some laughter. Okay, this is also what I've done before, and I think this is funny, because we learn with everything we do, right? Especially when we're giving a presentation. Oh, okay, I'm going to tweak that exercise next time. Well, I would say, tell people to inhale, Tracy, and then I would go on with more explanations so that everyone in the room was holding their breath. Okay, so what I would like everybody to do, inhale, and then when you exhale, ha, 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 I want you to imagine the stressors that you've experienced this week. It could be more than one, it could be 10, and then imagine you're laughing it away. Okay. And before we do that, I want you to think about your stress level. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your stress level?
Okay.
Okay, ready? We're going to inhale together and then exhale with a ha, ha, ha. Ready? Ooh, then it gets warm. Ooh. Let's do one more time. Ha 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 ha. And here's the thing, for me, because I like to laugh a lot,
right?
My fake laughter evolves into a real laughter pretty soon.
I snorted.
Nice! Nailed it! Nailed it! And someone watching this right now might be thinking, I can't laugh, I can't goof off, because then my team members won't take me seriously. Here's the thing, laughter has so many benefits, including what's happening in the brain and in the whole body. We're oxygenating the blood, so you're getting exercise. It also connects people. Here's the thing, because it reduces cortisol, and we're more, the stress hormone, cortisol, we're more relaxed. When we're more relaxed, we've reduced some of those walls. And what's wrong with being a vulnerable leader? What's wrong with showing your people that you are human? I think if you as a leader, show your human side, your people will, your team members will respect you even more. Even share, you know what, you guys, this is a really tough week. I'm having a tough time because my 4 kids, this is an example, 4 kids run in all the time, and I can't get that budget report done for you guys. How about if you guys go around and, okay, everybody go around and just share what is the one stressor that's driving you bonkers this week? Right. So if you, as a leader, open yourself up to being vulnerable, share some challenges that you have, and allow your team members to listen. I mean, listen to your team members and allow them to share. And this is another really important element of improv, and that is listening. Because if you see in an effective improv group, team perform, they pick up on everything that all their team members throw out. They do. Like, how did they do that? It's because they're not in their head. They're not assuming what the next step is going to be. They're feeding off the other person.
Okay,
And
your way to go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And say, is there a way that you and I can do that?
We could do that with maybe a word association. It's a really simple exercise. So how about if you just say one object and
car.
Say an object. What? Car?
Car.
Gas.
Fuel.
You're thinking. So I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
There was a pause, and it's possible that you were thinking about what is the best answer? What's the best? So to get your mind free forming, just listen to what I say and go say the first thing that comes to your mind, and I'll do the same.
Okay. Zoom.
Kids show. See, I did this. See, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I didn't promise that.
Okay. Glass.
Ceiling.
Walls.
Bricks.
White.
Brown.
Gray.
Dark.
Gloomy.
Sad.
We need to be happy.
The sunshine. That's good.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
So I just instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, she's stuck," I just then reacted to your sound.
Right. My yeah. Okay. I mean, and that I think that I remember now. I mean, I took my improv class like 4 years ago. To help me. Because as a speaker and as a trainer, you have to improvise. You have to improvise too, because you get people's questions. Okay, well, Tracy, why do I have to provide people with, food allergies, food at events, right? And like, okay, well, why wouldn't you, right? And like one guy said to me in a session, he's like, Tracy, you keep talking about 1/3 of the attendees had dietary restrictions, and I have to feed those 1/3 of the people. He goes, what about the other 2/3 of the people? And I just took a deep breath, actually, and I'm like, you can eat everything on that buffet. And so why are you worried about it? No matter what I make for these people, you can still eat it. So that was, but I actually...
It took you a minute because you'd never been asked that question before.
Right, exactly. So,
and what you... Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, and it just... And I have to make, you have to think those things through sometimes, but you have to do them on the fly at the same time. But if you stop and take that deep breath, it is still improvisation, I think, but because you have to give not the right answer, but you have to give an answer that they potentially can understand. Does that make sense?
Yes, we didn't even talk about this, but that was great. That's exactly what I teach in my public speaking coaching.
What's that? What I just
I call it Think on Your Feet public speaking program. Okay. Because when you're giving a presentation, although you might have everything outlined, there is going to be that unexpected question. And just like life, just like leading a team, there are the unexpecteds. And what you did in your response, it was, yes, I hear you. I'm processing the question. Let me see if I can come up with an answer that is effective. That's what you did in your mind, right?
Right.
And then you gave an answer. That was a really good example of yes and. I acknowledge you. I hear your question. And you may even have said, thank you for that question. I'd never had that before. Let me think about that. Right. Same thing if a team member asks, well, Mary, what are we going to do? What is next week going to look like? I don't want to talk about that. That would be a big old no.
Right.
Oh, I understand there are some concerns. How about if you tell me about how you're feeling?
Right.
But what you did was a perfect example of yes and. And it doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers. I think ultimately, especially during tough times, people want to be heard.
Right.
People want to be heard, not judged. And it's not judging, oh, what are you wearing? That kind of judging. It's judging, why are you thinking that way? It's going to be okay. Don't worry. It's, I understand your concern. Let's talk about it.
Right.
And you know what? Who else in this meeting right now is stressed out? Okay, let's laugh. Yeah, let's laugh.
Yeah.
So we did that. And also another, doing some improv exercises. There's also, I'm a part of an organization of improv leaders around the world, AIN, Applied Improv Network. A couple weeks ago, actually on a weekly basis, they have what's called an open space on Zoom. And a few people might share ideas, and then we go into different Zoom breakout rooms and discuss and actually come up with solutions of, hey, that's a good idea. We should use that kind of game, or I could use that game in this presentation. We played tag. So it'd be kind of tough to do this here,
right.
But let's say if people want to reach out to me and I can teach you how to do it. Yes.
Actually, let's reach out. Twitter handle, I want people to do this. Twitter handle for you is?
At Julie Ostrow.
Okay, and we are tweeting live. Julie Ostrow is tweeting live with the hashtag lead culture right now on Twitter.
And I will answer any questions that you have about how can I elevate the mood amongst my team when we're all really stressed and sad and disconnected. What can we do? Fake laughter, improv exercises, what we did just one. And there's also a way you can play tag.
Okay.
I won't go with the technical details because I don't think we need to talk about the details here. Would you agree?
I agree. Can you and I play tag though right now?
I don't think so because you go into different breakout rooms.
Oh, okay.
So there's a way that you can play tag and it raises the energy and in the room. So you have, let's say, yeah, so there's that. There's also different games like that.
Okay. And were you talking about something I'm going to pick up an object off my desk or something?
Yes. There is one of my favorite improv games is called Props, and you might have seen that on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So they have a basket of props, and then the person just grabs it, and then they make something out of it. I'd say the way to adapt it for Zoom is, okay, before we get this meeting started, everybody reach at 1 o'clock on your desk, reach for an object, grab it, and then hold it up. Nice. Okay. So what I will do is, I'll go first to demonstrate.
Okay.
So this is whatever this is. I'm going to say one thing it is, and then you can say, hey, Julie, it can also be such and such. Okay. Oh, shoot. I have a big, I have acne on my face. So what do you see this could be?
A coaster.
A coaster. It's a flying saucer.
Yep. It is a button.
Oh, it's a button. Oh, see?
Yep.
It's the dancing bear. Remember on Captain Kangaroo? He had like a big flower on his face? No. Okay. I'm too old for that. So although you might not think that what we did was hilarious, you guys,
right.
But this is what we just did. It broke down the wall between Tracy and me, this digital wall. And with a group of 5, 10, or 15 people, you could go around, let's say one time around. Okay, everybody, what else could you say? Quickly, what do you see this could be? Oh, it's a huge sweet tart. Or, so and then it gets people in the playful mode. Right. It connects people to this one object and they're not thinking about the stress. So that's another way that you could incorporate an improv game, even though I can't touch you.
Well, I can, yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yesterday we learned how to virtual hug from John Chen of Geotag.
Oh.
Geo Game. Oh my gosh, I have to remember he's going to kill me. What is this company name? That's really bad. John Chen of Geoteaming. Geoteaming.
How do we spell it? To give him the extra bonus, how do we spell that?
Geoteaming. Geoteaming. John Chen, and we give virtual hugs. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Tracy.
So, I mean, that's a way to do that too. I mean, you could do that. That would be kind of cool to have 50 people giving everybody a hug. you know.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
There's another game that I learned. It's called, on stage, it's called Tree.
Okay.
Another way you could also call it Zoom Collage, where you have everybody in, I think, the gallery mode. So if you have 10 or 20 people, they're smaller pictures.
Right.
But everyone positions themselves. Let's say if you were to move your face over, or maybe you'd have to go the other way, further over, so we kind of make one face together.
Oh, that's so cool.
So there's that. And then someone could either take a screenshot either with, their camera, or a screenshot if they have snippets.
Do that again.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take a screenshot.
So make sure you get just one eye. Let's see if we can match our mouths. Let's see if we can smile.
I have to get the screenshot. I can't do it while I'm doing that.
Oh, here, you know what? Let's just do this first, and let's see if we can figure out how to take the photo.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, you need to, there you go.
I need to look down real quick.
Can you move it in there?
Okay, people are going to think we're weird, but that is actually kind of fun.
So and then what I also saw was,
okay,
and other people, so there were other people in this who demonstrated this. So someone else had their mug, someone else added their mug, so they made a mug together.
Oh, and then we can drink it. Yeah.
So little things like that you might think are, oh, that's kind of stupid. But right now I feel like we did an activity together.
Right.
And what does this mean from a leadership standpoint? You want to have your teams feeling like they're part of a team. You want your team members to feel like they're a part of a team. And fun and laughing at yourselves and laughing for no reason and doing something silly like this, like these exercises, really breaks down the wall. Not this wall, but breaks down the wall. And we have this cyber wall between us, but right now I feel like it's reduced. So don't you think that would be, it's already a serious world. Let's add some levity. And there's a way that you leaders can do that.
And is there research and documentation that show that this works?
Which the laughter?
Laughter.
Yes. So within AIN, though, Applied Improv Network leaders around the world, they've also worked with corporations and seen the difference. And I have too. And I can't talk right now. Okay. And there's also studies that when we are practicing mirth and humor, there's a physiological change that's going on. And AATH.org, Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, has extensive research about what's happening in the brain when we're laughing. And when you're laughing, I mean, think about in any team that you've been on where it was kind of stressful and you guys ended up laughing.
Right.
Like, what were we stressed about? And maybe the manager was still a little difficult to work with, but at least when you guys laughed together, you got the project done easier. Right. So there are studies that show that there's the reduction of cortisol, which is that stress hormone.
Okay.
And when we're stressed, we can't think logically. Someone I know from AATH, Dr. Heidi Hanna, studies the connection between stress and the brain. And I have one of her books right there on the shelf called Stressaholic. Okay. So yes, all these studies, and if people want these links, these resources, I can share those too.
Okay, perfect. And when we reduce the stress of people at work with laughter and these improvisations, can it change that workplace culture?
I think so. I believe so. Because to quote Alan Alda was quoted as saying, when people are laughing together, they're typically not killing each other.
True. I would hope not. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about if you ask me that question again and I'll answer a little bit more seriously than that?
What did I ask you? Can
you think that it would change the work environment?
Laughter and improvisation through leaders using improv and laughter, can it change workplace culture?
Yes, it can. From my own experience, when I've been in environments where laughter and levity were not allowed, I was even told, okay, that laughter thing that you do, that's not welcome here. So already.
Really?
Oh, I was told that on the interview, so it was my fault I took the job.
Yeah.
So, we have to be responsible for our own actions as well, but that's another topic.
Right.
I experienced it myself. And to this day, people I worked with in the association management firm, world's largest association management firm, years ago, as an assistant and a coordinator, handful of us are still in touch, even though 2 of them now live in the Netherlands. To this day, we laugh about how stressful our jobs were because in the events industry, the deadlines do not move. That meeting is on October 1st. And if you don't have your materials done, and that was when it was print, and when it was in print, Tracy, if you saw a typo in a phone number, guess what? You don't change the documentation, you buy that phone number. So, and I've seen
improv.
Yeah, it is. And so I still keep in touch with those people who we to this day talk about how we laugh when we're at the office at 9 o'clock on a Friday getting stuff done.
Right.
And if my coworker, even though she worked on other accounts than I did, but she saw that maybe I was struggling and, hey, you know what, I've got to meet these deadlines, and well, I want to go out, so I'll help you. What I found is when I would make a connection with my team members, doing the work was not work.
Right.
We would help each other without any, we're helping each other. And that's what it was about. And conversely, I've worked in environments where the minute I would start a job, I basically was told, you're on your own and this is fighting. But just an example.
Right.
One place I worked as a marketing manager, I said, oh, you know what? We can flesh out these ideas for our new website in our brainstorming meeting. And this other marketing manager looked at me and she said, oh, Julie, you have not been in a brainstorming session with me. I will rip you apart. So if you're a leader who says those things to your team, you need to reassess your style. Embrace humor. It adds levity. It allows people to be human. And when you laugh at your own humanness, you can take a step back and effectively think of solutions that can be more effective moving forward.
So we were talking a couple of weeks ago. I actually you interviewed me for your podcast, right? Or
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, right? Yeah. And so we were talking about something that I do and I laugh at, or people laugh at me about doing, is that I talk to strangers.
I love that about you.
And I have to laugh at myself because like the other day I went to go get shrimp for dinner and I had the top down on my convertible, and the lady in the car next to me, because we're all social distancing, she was in the car, but she had her window rolled down, and I just looked at her and I'm like, hey, can you just make sure that no birds poop in my car? And she didn't hear me, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess she's not paying attention. I mean, she was literally looking at me, and I said that, but I'm like, okay, Tracy, so, but it, not that I just wanted to make her laugh, but, and I did leave the top down on my car, and thankfully no birds pooped in my car, but that's kind of the thing that I do to kind of bring laughter and improv into my daily life, because I do just talk to strangers. And one other example is that I was filling out a form actually for Will Curran and his podcast. And now I'm going to forget the name of the podcast. Will Curran, I'm sorry. And it was
type it in the comments. When you think you can type it.
I'll do that. And it says, what is something unique about you? And I literally was on the bus and we were in Seattle. I don't know what city we were in. And I looked at the lady to the left of me on the train, actually. And I said, what's unique about me? And she's like, you talk to strangers. I had never met this woman in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, you are so right. So, and I have no idea why I bring this up, but it was just being able to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
People make fun of me because I do talk to strangers, and my theory is that you can't make new friends without talking to strangers. And, but they laugh at me for that, but I also laugh at myself about that, because I could talk to that white wall behind you. And, so Yes, that one right there. So actually, everybody, we're tweeting at leadculture.com right now with Julie Ostrow, or at Julie Ostrow. Do you have any questions for her? Are there any ways that you use improv in your leadership management style, and how has it been effective? Have you seen change with that? So again, Julie Ostrow on Twitter under the hashtag leadculture. Julie, how can leaders become more effective? And we've kind of touched on this, but is there a way that they can use the laughter and the improv to become more effective, as well as help their team members become more effective?
I think,
especially in this COVID thing,
I think what leaders could do is embrace right now that something completely different, and the word of the year is unprecedented. These unprecedented times. If you see, by the end of June, if you don't know how to spell unprecedented, just don't use the word. Anyway,
right.
But I think what leaders need to do right now is change how they communicate with their teams. And that is communicate more often. And that is, and I don't mean, okay, Julie said we're supposed to have a Zoom meeting every day. I mean, even just touch base with a 5-minute happiness boost with your team members. And by communicate, I don't mean like your weekly report and everyone has to read and get back to you. Communicate in the sense that use your listening skills even more than ever. Not your, this is the way it's supposed to be, these are the procedures, I'm logging off now. Start every meeting with listening to your team. How are they doing? Because when you show respect like that, people are going to say, hey, he or she cares about what I'm doing and understands that I've got 5 kids right now and my husband is an essential worker. I have to do this new life balance. How do I do this? Right. So most importantly is show your compassion, listen, and make sure that you adapt to this new way of working. Not, this is the way we've always done it, so we have to act like we're going to be in cubes.
Right. I think it was John was talking about, we're now all in these squares, and now that I'm doing this, it reminds me of the Brady Bunch,
Yes.
So, or what's that, the television show that had the games?
Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood Squares. So we're playing, that would be kind of a fun game to do and ask trivia questions and stuff with that. But, how can we make this square a lot more fun, and learning about each other and showing more compassion about each other. And maybe it means giving an extra few minutes to Julie because she's having a rough day, or, and Holly and I talked about this too, is just picking up the telephone too. It doesn't have to be in the square. It could be through the old, communication line that.
What?
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought of that this could be helpful. This could be transferred over to this environment. While I was studying improv at Second City in Chicago back in the 90s, I was also a volunteer grief counselor for Heartlight, a bereavement support group for children and their families associated with the Children's Hospital. I'm pointing that way because that's downtown. And what I learned is that there's the correlation between what I learned on stage, and that is being in the present moment, not judging and allowing things to take place, to how we were supposed to be working with these kids, ages 3 to 18, who had a parent die. And what we did was, before we met with the families, before we had dinner with the families, all of us volunteers met in a room for an hour, and there was a talking stick. Whoever had the talking stick, went around the circle or randomly, and we met every 2 weeks. So we'd say how our last 2 weeks were. You know what? This week was the anniversary of my mom's passing, and this was a really rough week. And it's just stating the fact, and then passing it. So what the person leading the group could do, could mute everybody else, and then unmute the person whose turn it is. And you could even have your own talking stick. Okay. Right. And then put your talking stick down and saying, and as a team, sometimes in a corporate environment, you don't feel comfortable sharing every single piece about you, but you know what? This was a rough week. Oh, look, green and red. You could have color codes.
Well, and I was actually red, green, and yellow. Yeah, but I was also thinking too that that would be a fun thing to send to all of your team members for your meetings, is to give everybody, send a branded or whatever talking stick. So, or let them pick one up on their own. Hey, what's your
either way
talking stick? Yeah.
And I like that idea, because if it's something branded or something that is the same, then it looks like they're connected.
Right.
That's another way to do that.
Right.
So this is, you know what, I had a rough week. Thanks for listening, guys. No one will say, well, Julie, you know what, you need to get over that because that was 5 years ago or whatever it is. It's okay. And then, Tracy has the talking stick. You know what? I had an awesome week. I got 10 clients and I'm doing this webinar. Yeah. Okay. So what happened then, we left all of our feelings in the room. Then we were able to be present for those families.
Gotcha.
How does that translate into these meetings? It's without being able to maybe express yourself. Like, how am I going to get through this budget meeting? I'm potty training my 2-year-old and my boss wants all these numbers. But instead, you know what, you guys, I'm not really that present right now. My toddler is running around like crazy. The dog just barfed. So that's where I am right now. I'm just letting you know I'm physically here. So in a way, then when we would share how we felt, it's almost like there was this understanding that all the other volunteers had my back.
Right.
The next hour or two was not about me talking about my mom. It was, I know Dave and Jennifer know what kind of a tough 2 weeks that I had. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think it could help show compassion amongst the team members.
Yep. All right. So we have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. And I want to go back to Will Curran, and his podcast is Event Icons. So #Event Icons. And he owns a company called Endless Events. But again, we are using lead culture hashtag right now for the evolving leadership and workplace culture. Julie's on with us for 2 more minutes. Share with her what you've learned from this hour about laughter and improv, and maybe what you're going to take back to your Zoom meeting or to your office and implement. Julie, in the last 2 minutes, what do we want to end with? Another laugh? Is there something else that we can end on so that everybody's laughing as we go?
We could do that.
Okay.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, but we got to cut the laugh off really quickly and then go. How do people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me at my website, julieostrow.com. I also have been doing Facebook Lives regularly on my Facebook page, business page, which is Go Find the Funny.
Go Find the Funny. So we're going to go find the funny. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. See you later, everybody. #lead culture. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Tracy.